All right, so we just took off from the ramp. Truck's parked up there. Got our boat ramp over here. That'll be our starting and stopping point. Taking off, we're already kind of floating around. The wind's definitely blowing us this way, so other bit of this is probably going to be a lot more difficult than this, so I'll enjoy getting pushed downwind while I got it. All right, so let's talk about the Pelican. So this boat, first of all, I've used this for many years, and so I can give you a really good idea of kind of what kind of kayak it is and what you're able to do with it. If you'll excuse me for just a second, I'm actually going to pull over. One of my foot pedals slid down and it's annoying the heck out of me. I really need them to be the same size. So the Pelican kayak is kind of your beginner kayak, okay? It's super cheap. It's very affordable kayak. You're going to find it in a lot of different places. A lot of big box stores are going to have it. This one, we got this at Walmart. All right, fix this. I'll actually talk about one benefit here right now while I'm doing it, is that while I did stop to change the foot pegs down there, I got two little pretty simple foot pegs. They're super easy to adjust. You don't actually have to stop. I'm super near the shore, and I got my phone in my pocket and my GoPro, so I really don't want to flip. And so I just decided to pull over, but you really don't have to. If you have a little bit of balance, you can easily change or adjust these without worrying about flipping too much. Okay, so pros of it. So the pros of it are obviously what I mentioned earlier. It's very affordable, and you're going to be able to find it in a lot of big box stores. It's a great beginner kayak. So if you've never kayaked before, this is going to be one to get your butt into a seat and on the lake. It's definitely its greatest part of this kayak. Another great thing about the kayak is it's actually very, very robust. It's made of plastic. It's going to hold up a lot better than your carbon fiber and your Kevlar and stuff. I mean, this is not the type of boat that you have to be fragile with. I mean, I've thrown it around. You throw it in the back of the truck. It's really great in that sense. You can just beat the heck out of it. This kayak is exceptional on those river floats where you just barely have enough water to float and you have to get out periodically or a lot, and it's going to be dragging on sandbars. You know, you take a carbon fiber kayak and you try to drag that, and you're just going to cringe every time because, you know, you've spent so much money and so much investment on that kayak, and then you're dragging it on that, and that carbon fiber is just not going to hold up to that very well. That is the biggest thing about this, is just you can just tear it up. I can throw it in the truck. It's super small. That's another thing. I mean, I use this to train in because I can go before work. I can throw it into the back of the truck. I don't even have to strap it down, although I do if I'm going to be on the interstate. This thing is just super mobile. It's easy. You can actually, in my truck, you can probably fit 2, maybe 3 of these. I've never done 3, but you could probably almost fit 3 of these if you wanted to. After that, I'd get a little scared, but they're just super compact. You don't have to worry about bending them or whatever. Sometimes when it's hot, they will start to get a little flimsy, and you don't want to tie them down too tight, just because they will actually bend and warp when they get hot enough. It's a 105-degree day, so that could be one of those days where it's happening, although the sun's not out, so that does help a little bit. All right, so we are navigating around this first long little leg of the lake. You can see the dock up ahead, maybe not on the GoPro, but the ramp is still within vision. And honestly, this lake is on the smaller side, much smaller side, so probably gonna have visibility of the ramp through most of it, maybe not the last bit. It might disappear a little bit, but this is a really nice lake to cruise. Not bad fishing, although I don't have very good luck, but I'm not really much of a fisherman. But let's move on to why this is a great kayak for people who are starting out, okay? You want to try kayaking, you don't know anything about it, and you just want to give it a shot. You don't want to spend thousands of dollars on a nice new kayak. You want to just get in the water and see if you even like it. So this kayak, I mean, you can get for like a couple $100s. It's so cheap and so affordable, and it's so stable. Like, you can do all kinds of stuff in this. You're not gonna, I mean, you could flip it. I mean, I'm not saying I haven't flipped it before, but I mean, unless you're just being totally careless, you can get in one of these without being very experienced. You can just rock it back and forth. I mean, it's hard to flip. You'll have to really try to flip this thing. So when you're starting out, that's probably the biggest thing, is trying to get kind of your sea legs, trying to figure out your balance, especially if you're not used to it, you haven't worked out, your core is a little bit weak. Trust me, I had a very long ways to go when I first got into kayak, because I just had a weak core, and so it took me a long time. And so this was a great way to kind of take care of that, kind of start forming that foundation upon which, you know, strengthening your core. So if you get this kayak, it's super easy to resell. I mean, you might lose a little bit of money, but you're not losing much. And if you're like me, you have a hard time selling anything, so you can just keep it, and it doesn't restrict you from like getting another higher up one. You just throw this in the garage, and then you can just kind of have it as a backup, or if a friend wants to go with you, you've always got it, right? So in the way of a recreational kayaker, someone that's just getting started, this is absolutely a great kayak to start out in. Gives you a great idea of what kayaking is like. It gets you out on the water, and you can try it out. So let's go to some of the downsides. Okay, because it's a great beginner kayak, it's gonna get old pretty quick. This thing does not go fast at all. This thing is not going to be a speed demon. It's very stable, so it's very wide, and because of that, it's very slow. It's not super maneuverable. It's not too bad maneuverable because it's on the shorter side, but it is just so wide. It's just kind of bulky and not that great for like long distance. If you're going a really long time, this thing is going to wear you out paddling. Another thing is, because it's made of plastic, it's a real heavy kayak. It's because it's short, it's not that hard to load up in the truck, but if you're looking at like carbon fiber and Kevlar and stuff like that, all those are so lightweight, it's unbelievable. And then you get this tiny short little boat, and it's heavy, and it just kind of throws you off. But when I first got a kayak, I had no idea what a kayak was supposed to weigh, so it wasn't that big of a deal to me. But you know, when I lift my Epic 18X up, and then I lift this one up, it's like, wow, how is this boat like half the size and yet twice as heavy? It's unreal. But you know, that all goes along and points to one thing: this boat's pretty slow, and it's, you know, kind of rough to paddle. But I've done the MR340, and I've watched a guy and paddled with him for a long time, and we were in Cooper's Landing, which was almost to the halfway point, I think. I'm not real sure off the top of my head, but it's a pretty far journey into the race. And this guy, you know, was in this little Pelican, and so it's all about how much you want to hurt yourself, essentially. But there is definitely more efficient kayaks. So let's just talk about some of the things that the kayak has. So the kayak has foot pegs, like I noticed, because it would drive me nuts if it didn't have foot pegs. I didn't even know what these were for when I first got it, but now that I know that you're supposed to paddle with your core and push off with your legs and kind of move your legs, I really use them a lot. And I don't think I'd like a kayak that didn't have that. So it does have them. They're easily adjustable. I haven't broke one yet, but it seems like they're kind of flimsy. So you got your strap up here. You got a little strap back in the back hatch. It's a very small back hatch. Doesn't hold a lot. It does have some ropes and it does have some bungees across it, so you can load a little bit. So you're basically looking at maybe like a small tackle box or something, or a little tiny cooler you can strap to here. You could load it down as much as you want, and because it is so stable, it's not going to really hurt you too bad, you know, loading it down. But it doesn't have a lot of storage compartments that are reserved for that, so it's not going to make the greatest touring kayak. If you're looking to get a fishing kayak, you can fish out of this kayak. Very much storage, so you're not going to be taking a very large tackle box. I have fished out of this kayak, but the biggest thing about it that really annoys me is that there's nowhere to put your fishing pole. It has no fishing pole holes, you know, or really any kind of storage except for like right here between your legs, and that's not ideal if you're doing a lot of paddling. So there's not even like a lip along here. A lot of them have like a lip you can put your paddle. There's none of that here, so it's wide enough, you know, you can kind of sit it on there and it's going to stay and it's going to be fine. But it's not really set up for fishing very well. So as far as a fishing kayak, if you can spend a little bit more money and your primary use is going to be fishing, then I would probably just go ahead and get something a little bit more expensive. If your primary use, you know, like I said, is just going to be recreational kayaking, again, this is a very, very good kayak for that. It's very cheap, very affordable. It'll get you in a kayak. So that's about it for the kayak review. Now, I don't know how far we are. We're probably about a quarter of the way through. So we're just going to keep moving along here. We're just going to kind of circumnavigate the entire lake. Now, I was just kind of cruising along because I wanted to talk and didn't want to be out of breath. But now let's kind of see how fast this kayak could move. I unfortunately forgot my GPS tracker that can track my movement. But we do have our phone and I have Strava. So let's kick the Strava on and maybe that'll tell us kind of what speeds we're getting. This sucks your battery down. I've got 62%, so luckily this isn't a real fast thing. So we've already done about a quarter of it, but we'll go ahead and start it now. And we'll just kind of see where we're at. We'll check on it. It won't be a very good figure, like for exactly how fast this thing goes. But again, I can guarantee that it's not a racing kayak. So you're not going to win a lot of races with this kayak unless you're just an absolute beast. But it won't be me paddling it. So that's kind of cool up ahead. I don't know if this is picking it up, but there is a turkey buzzard on the bank getting a drink of water. I'm going to kind of try to steer to the right so I don't disturb him. But honestly, I always see deer on this lake. I see a lot of ducks, a lot of eagles, though I haven't seen yet any today. This has a lot of wildlife on it, as do most lakes and rivers. But this is a really nice, calm day to do this. I don't know if this dude can't fly. Oh, there he goes. No, he don't want to fly very far. I'm not trying to disturb you, dude. I'm telling you. I'm gonna try to kick off. Oh, never mind. He's had enough. He's gone. He's out of here. So anyway, closing up. See what we got around this for wildlife. I'm gonna try to pick up the speed. We'll see what we get for speed. So even paddling at my fastest, which is, I'm not an Olympic paddler by any means, but in an Epic 18, I can easily get up to about 9, sometimes 10 in a full out sprint. And I am not measuring it right now. I can tell you, I'm not going very fast. It doesn't feel fast. You know, you look at the bank, definitely not breaking any records here. And it's requiring a ton of effort even to get going that fast. If you're going to be going a long distance, make sure you're going downriver or you're accounting for the time that you're going to be on river, because it's going to be a while. And one thing I will say about it is that I've been in it for 15 minutes and my feet are already numb, which isn't a normal thing. So I don't know if it's because the foot pedals are up too far or if the seat itself is just kind of a plastic set seat. And so there's really no give. Definitely kind of weird. So like I said, I've had this a long time, but I haven't paddled it much in the past several years. I actually asked my wife to marry me while I was in this kayak. So I won't be selling it anytime soon because of that reason. It's kind of have special meaning to me. It's kind of weird not having a rudder. Kind of got spoiled having a rudder. Definitely a good little trainer. You know, just getting out, just trying to perfect your form. You know, you definitely want to paddle in the boat that you're going to race in or that you're going to be in most of the time. But if you're doing some races and stuff here and there, or you just want to get to be a better paddler, it's definitely a good little kayak to just hop in and paddle around in, have some fun, and get a good little workout. I'd have to guess probably halfway to the point I am taking on some water, and I didn't have a plug, but the plug's in the top, so I thought, well, it'll probably be all right. But I'm taking on kind of a significant amount of water now. So I've been sitting here debating if I wanted to stop and dump some of that water, if I just wanted to keep right on rolling and kind of play a little game and see how far I can get before I have to dump it. So at some point, I am probably gonna have to stop, and I'm probably gonna have to get some of this water out. Didn't bring my baler because I didn't think that this was gonna be an issue, but it is kind of becoming an issue. And like I said earlier, I got my phone and my GoPro. Don't want to get them underwater, so might have to give in and just fix it. But lots of nice view. We got a rocky, kind of a rocky shore over here. Most of it's been sort of there's a lot of wood on there. There was one sandbar. It's got a bird out here in front debating on what it wants to. There it goes. Those are, what kind of birds are those? A coot? No. Is it a coot? It might be a coot. I'm not 100%. Pretty cool birds though. Rounding out, it's been pretty peaceful. I've got a little bit of a headwind right now, so I'm almost, we're probably 200 yards from the furthest point, the furthest leg of the lake, and once I can turn around, I'll have that wind in my back, which it's not a significant wind, but it's just enough to be kind of annoying. Got a lot of water here. I don't know, I'm starting to get a little nervous, but I'm not gonna stop yet. We'll just have to see. My plan is, I've been kind of coasting along the coast, not too concerned with my time, just trying to work on my form. But when I get to this, I'm gonna try to kind of give it all I got, really let go of the reins and see what I can do on the way back. So maybe I can get away with having this water. It'd be kind of a good training weight, a little bit of weight to the boat. It's already a heavy boat, but even more weight with this water in here, probably a couple gallon at the minimum. What's that, 8.34 pounds per gallon, so you're looking at 16 to 18 pounds of water weight. Looks like we got a ton of geese. I don't know if I can get close enough to where you could see them in the GoPro, but ton of geese over here. It looks like on the shore, nice clear shore up ahead. Probably be excellent fishing. So I actually noticed a deer up here on the bank, so I'm gonna kind of get it close to the bank. Looks like a little spike buck. He's got his head down. So I'm just gonna creep up here and see if I can get a little closer. Maybe y'all can get a glimpse of him here. See how close we can get. He's gonna float it in. And there he goes. Kind of neat. That's another thing that a lot of people, sure, kayak's fun to do, but one of the coolest things about kayaking is all the wildlife that you get a chance to see. It's unreal. Once you start, kind of getting out into different places, you see so much wildlife. It's unreal. And I've seen more deer from a kayak than I have doing any other thing. And it's just really neat. That's just a huge positive. It's not just deer though, like birds and all kinds of stuff. They're just not, you know, I don't know. It's just you're quiet. You're in your kayak. You're just paddling along, and you can get away with a lot more. So I'm finally nervous enough. I gotta get out of here and dump this water. I'm like sitting in water, so not ideal. So just gonna take the opportunity. I'm close enough to the bank anyway, and get rid of some of the stuff. I really don't like walking in this stuff, but I don't really have a choice. This is kind of nasty shoreline, and I'm afraid I'm gonna sink way in. Yeah, that's gross. But as you can see, I got too much water in there to keep going. Might be able to make it a little further, but I ain't chancing nothing. All right. So, honestly, I think this is so gross that I'm gonna go ahead and paddle over that direction. Over there, it's a little bit rocky. And I'm gonna be sitting in water, but, whew. I'm not sticking my foot in there because I'm gonna sink down to my knees, and that's not kosher with me. So, and foot pedal just went. So as I was saying, I never broke a foot pedal. Well, I just broke a foot pedal, so they can be broke. I don't know how bad it is, if I'm gonna be able to repair it now, or if I have to get a separate piece or something, but it's gonna be super annoying. Thank God I'm like halfway done, so I don't have to paddle it like that the whole way. I'm flipping this stuff on me, this algae, whatever this is called, this moss stuff, flipping it over all over my shoulders. It's kind of a nasty little place, but a lot of geese, kind of probably a lot of geese crap. And I can see kind of why they hang back here, because, you know, it's far away from everything, and you'd have to really want to be here in order to come here. So this is looking way better over here. Should be able to pull right up on the shore. Now you can get my feet in the water, get this thing emptied out, and then we'll speed back to the dock, and that will be about it. So it's still kind of nasty, but it's better than the other place. Whoa. Oh, and there I go. Whew. Dang. I was hoping to not do that. Okay. Oh man, I think the whole railing came out. Look at all that water. Jeez. Well, that goes to show you, if you got a plug, just put the plug in or go buy another one if you lose yours like I did. Unless you want to do this. Okay, so let's check out this. So this was held on by a screw, and it just came completely off, so I'm not fixing that now. That's see, there's the screw on the outside, and it's coming out. So now we have yet another hole in our boat, and I'm down to 1 foot peg. So as you can see, I mean, I'm not leaving this out. So there's some problems, because I ain't trying to sell this kayak, I'm just trying to review it. Now, let it be known, I've had this a long time, probably almost 10 years. So there's bound to stuff to go wrong. And I'm using it harder than I usually do today because I'm actually trying to go faster, kind of as like a little training thing. But that's not ideal. It doesn't impress me that that broke. So I mean, there you go. I mean, it's a cheaper kayak. If I'm being honest though, if you're just trying to get into this and you don't want to spend a lot of money, I'm still going to say this is a pretty good kayak. I mean, like I said, I've had it for 10 years. And this is really the first big problem that I've had. So I still think if you're just looking for something to paddle and get used to kayaking, it's still a pretty good little kayak. Okay, I'm just gonna throw that in there, and then hopefully I'm gonna just skedaddle myself in there and we'll just hightail it back home. So now I'm kind of wishing that I'd have brought my like cheap paddle, because I really don't want to push off this much with my nice Epic carbon fiber paddle, but that's all I brought. So woo, yeah, that wasn't too bad. Nice little slide in. All right, let's take off and let's get back. You can definitely tell there's a lot less weight in there. Does a lot better without water in it, if that's too hard to believe. Oh man, that extra pedal would be nice right now. It's really nice to have something to push off of with your feet. You know, especially, I mean, if you're using core and you're trying to have good form paddling, and if you are having good form, if you do have good form, you'll be using your core a lot. And when you use your core a lot, it's nice to have kind of your legs, have something kind of locked down or pushed down on. And without that, it's a real pain. I say one side is probably better than no sides. Still not ideal. It's all good training though, adapting and overcoming. I mean, if you just look at it like everything is a test, you know, I've really gotten into this MR340 endurance race. Later on, after the kids are a little older, I'd like to get into more endurance races. Maybe not just paddling, but running. And I gotta say that when you do things for a long period of time, you run into so many problems. Whether you're racing or if you're just hanging out backpacking or you're hunting in the mountains, you're gonna run into different things that are gonna be challenges. And sometimes that's the best training, is just to do different stuff, cross train and run into challenges and adapting, overcoming, just figuring it out on the fly. That is some of the best training. And that's, I don't know how many people have stories besides me where they just ran into stuff they didn't think they were going to encounter and it just caused them trouble. And some of them, I mean, is enough to quit sometimes. You know, last year's MR340, I ran into a ton of waves. We had 2-foot whitecaps on the Missouri River. It's usually a flat, slow-moving river, comparably. And we had these waves, we had barges all over the place at the same time. It was a very strong headwind, just a miserable paddling condition day. And I had not trained. I always was like, is it good weather to paddle today? And if it was windy or choppy or cold or way too hot, I'd just say, there'll be better days. But paddling in those days that are bad is the training. That is what is going to make you a better paddler. Saying no to that, you're just shorting yourself. And I've learned that the hard way, because that just shattered my core. And they ended up calling the race off due to weather anyway. But I certainly could have made it a lot further than what I did. I made it 107 miles into a 340-mile race. So not very good. You know, about on par with the rest of the group. But, you know, I'm not a mega athlete. I was always decent in sports, but I'm not anything special. I'm not a freaking stud when it comes to that stuff. But to be honest with you, I'm learning more and more that endurance specifically is so little about how good you are. I mean, everybody has talents, and certainly it's nice to have talents where you're good at running, but if you're good at endurance and you have a subpar mental game, you ain't gonna make it very far. A guy who's just average at endurance with an absolute steel trap for a mind is gonna have, I would bet on the guy with the absolute steel mindset, like not quitting, not giving up. Nothing you throw at him is gonna stop him, and that's what I'm trying to develop. It's 100-something degrees today. I would have normally said I'm not paddling today, to heck with this, but I decided, you know what, I'm gonna pick a small lake and I'm gonna circumnavigate it, and I'm gonna start doing this to try to keep, you know, it exciting. I'm gonna do different lakes, bigger lakes, smaller lakes, rivers, streams that I probably shouldn't go down, and I'm just gonna try to pick something different. Maybe do like a review like I did during today's video, or, you know, I might even, you know, try out some different beers, do a little beer review, give me an excuse to drink a beer, maybe some coffee, maybe some outdoor products, outdoor like camping, kayak camping products. I don't really know. I'm kind of excited about where this channel could go. I don't care about making a living at it. I love my job. I'm a firefighter, and like, honestly, it's the best job in the world. So even if I made it big and I make tons of money on YouTube, I'm still gonna be a firefighter because I love it. You know, it used to be when I hated my job, I wanted to get out and I wanted to do anything, and I was like, feel like I was being fake. And now I don't care. I don't care if I make money. I don't care if I make $1. I'm only gonna do the things that I wanna do. And sometimes I might use this as an excuse to buy stuff that I probably shouldn't, and tell my wife that I'm using it and reviewing it, even though I'm not actually making any money off of it, especially yet. But you know, you gotta love, now that I've finally found a job that I don't want to run from, I don't really care to make it, you know, per se. I just want to do it for fun. So that's kind of what this channel is going to be about now, just stuff that I like to do, and then will hopefully be a benefit to the people that are watching it, such as gear reviews, tips, tricks, stuff that I've learned, picked up, beautiful landscapes and stuff like that. So we're almost to the end here. Now I got one more little leg that I gotta paddle out into, but otherwise the dock is in sight and the ramp is right behind it. Once we get to the end, I'll check the Strava. I'll kind of see what my average mile per hour is. I stopped, you know, to dump the boat and all that, but you'll see that this boat is not setting any records, and it has its problems. It's made cheaply, but it is tough. I mean, I took on 2 gallons of water, over 2 gallons of water. There's a lot of water in there, and it still didn't sink. I was still floating in it. So as you can see, I mean, 10 years of use. This is a good boat. It's a good solid boat for how much money it is. And if you're just getting into it and you're not trying to buy the best, this is a good starter boat. Now, if you get into it and you love it, I'll give you a heads up. It can get expensive. I just sold my last boat and took a loss on it, looking at buying a boat that's 4 times as much. So we're looking at months worth of paychecks. So that's really hard to, especially if you have a significant other, but it's really kind of hard to justify spending that much money on something that you just paddle around. But keeps me out of trouble, keeps me from drinking too much, keeps me grounded, and the mental like aspect of it is like a break. You know, you come out here and you paddle, your mind's on this, you finally just get a break and you can relieve your stress. So that is definitely a big thing. All right, paddling along this dam here. We're coming around the corner. We're very close to being at the end. Figure out what this contraption is here. moving blade. So there's 2 of them. Looks like they got some wires around it to keep the birds from landing, some solar panels. But I have no idea what that would be for. A measurement device of some sort, maybe? No idea. I'm wondering if they have these on any other lakes that you guys know of. It's kind of neat. Coming by the dock. The boat ramp is just beyond. We'll be finishing up our first circumnavigation of Route J Reservoir in our Pelican kayak. Check our Strava real quick while we're thinking about it. Okay. Distance 2.16 miles. So we cut off, I don't know, I'd say maybe a quarter mile of this little area here. It runs all the way and then around. I'm gonna call it about a quarter mile. So we'll say it's about 2.5 miles. 15:21 split times. So, you know, I stopped and dumped the boat and all that, but pretty good little trip. Super slow boat. You're gonna have that. I mean, it's cheap, but it'll get you on the water. So we were looking at 3.6 miles per hour. You know, in a Pelican, that's not terrible. I wasn't like, I could talk, you know, I wasn't super like out of breath. And I feel great now, you know, so it was only 2 miles, 2.5 or whatever we think it is, but 3.6 miles per hour. That's not bad. It's actually surprisingly. So if you figure if you're going downstream, you know, which is what I recommend, you know, if you're going on like a little float trip, go downstream with this little boat, you know, it gets you out of the water, you have fun, you can paddle a little bit, you know, you figure the stream's going 1 to 3 miles per hour, you know, you're trekking along at 5 or 6, whatever miles an hour. I mean, not too bad. Kind of a fun little float. So good job, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Go get yourself a kayak, get outside, appreciate the wildlife, have fun.